I think the best advice that I was ever given was don't let the industry eat you up. Always stay humble.
Just want to thank you for joining me. I'm curious, how did you get into trucking? When did that all start?
Yeah, and first, thank you for having me. And so it happened 17 years ago, about, and I was a young 22 years old. And I had gone to college for graphic design. And, this is when really social media stuff, graphic design, none of that wasn't even hardly a thing then. And after working in the industry for 3 years, I just realized I was never going to get where I wanted financially in life. And I knew a couple truck drivers and I knew a company. So back then it was Conway Freight, now XPO, that you could go to their driving school. They would pay for it. You just had to sign a year contract and then you could work for them. And so I said, let's give it a try. I just have to work there for a year. And fast forward, here we are.
What year was that?
2008.
2008. Okay. Had you had anyone in your family that was in trucking or anybody that you knew that was in trucking?
My dad was briefly in trucking, but he hadn't really been in it very long. He was just, seeing if that was something that he wanted to dabble in. And then I did have an ex-boyfriend that had drove, and so I kind of was slightly familiar with it, but honestly, not really familiar with it. Like I knew a couple truck drivers, but I didn't really know the trucking life or anything like that.
And what is it? What do you haul?
So now we currently drive for FedEx Ground, so we do all of the packages. Yeah, so we pull
Nice.
doubles, hauling packages.
Oh, wow. And now you're a husband and wife team now?
Hmm. Yeah.
How
So I stayed with that. I stayed with XPO for 8 years doing local and regional driving. So I would pull doubles or I would be in the city environment making local pickup and deliveries. And so after 8 years, I found out about the opportunity to team drive and how much more money that you could make with team driving. And my husband and I were on a financial journey to become debt free and retire at a young age. And so for me, young age is 40. And so I wanted to be debt free and retire from a career at age 40. And team driving just took that to the next level. So I convinced my husband to come on the road to team drive with me. And now we've been doing it for 8 years. And some years we've taken the summertime off and we've just during the wintertime. But currently we're have about 16 more months of full-time driving as teams. And then our house will be paid off. And yeah, I'll be 40 and retiring from my career. I'm excited.
wow, that is amazing. What are you going to do at 40? Will you keep driving or do something different?
I'm not completely sure yet. There's a lot of possibilities, but one of those things that I know for sure that we're going to be doing is ministry work. And so my husband and I started our own church last year. So we have a church plant that we're starting out. So we'll do a lot more time in ministry work.
That's awesome. Where is that at?
It is in Fort Ritchie, Maryland, which is a little tiny place nobody hears about. But just think of Camp David, the presidential retreat. It is a old closed down military base that used to serve Camp David.
Very cool. Now, along your trucking journey, you got into YouTube. How did that start?
So, like I told you, I was on the road for 8 years, and my husband and I weren't just solo drivers, just being the average driver, as some people want to say, holding the steering wheel, but we had done truck rodeos. I don't know if you're familiar with truck rodeos and competitions, and so it's a next level or the next niche into driving. It's where you do truck driving competitions at company, state, and national level, and it's pretty high awards. And so we had done those. I've won third place in the state of Maryland. My husband has won first place and gone to nationals and placed eighth. And so we considered ourselves really experts. Like we had excellent careers, we had a really great resume when it came for trucking, but when it came to living on the road, the first 6 months, we were so clueless. We were so lost. Man, it's like, how can we know all of this about trucking and then feel like rookies again? And so YouTube was still new. Content creation was still kind of newer when we came on as team drivers. And there was really no information about how do you learn how to live in the truck. And so I took about a year of trying out things, cooking in the truck, making kitchens, just different scenarios and trying to do the best I could to live in that truck and figure it out. And I was like, I can't be the only one. If I have all this experience and I'm struggling this hard, there's other people. So let's share the information and let's start a YouTube channel. And so I didn't really know anything about making the videos or the content. I just turned on the camera, started recording, and started sharing the things that we were doing.
Did you imagine when you started doing that that it would grow to what it has?
Absolutely not. No. Yeah. I never thought it would grow to what it has, and that would be given the opportunities, even just like this with the interviews. I would have never thought that it would get to where it is, and help as many drivers. That's the amazing thing is so we never looked at YouTube as making extra income. We only looked at YouTube as helping people, and so that's all it really is to us. It's not about making any money because I truthfully don't make much money off of YouTube, but it's about helping people. And we have so many success stories about being able to mentor other drivers or our content really helping them stay in the industry. And they say that if they would have never stumbled upon our channel, then they would have quit. And, or they realize that they're not doing as well and they just can't do what they need to do to stay in the industry. And so some people do decide like, hey, we're going to give those things a try, but we just can't do it and we're going to call it quits. So yeah, the success stories really make it worth it.
I feel like a lot of trucking channels you come on, it's, like how to read a load board and, where, good places to truck are. But you really dive into like a very kind of different genre in kind of the not mundane things of living in a truck. But talk to me a little bit about some of the things that you have done videos on.
Yeah, so I like to say our channel's a lot different because we're considered lifestyle. So you can go to any trucking school. You don't even have to go to trucking school, and you can learn how to drive a truck. You can learn through your dispatch in a couple days how to work a load board or how to do all those things, but nobody's teaching you the lifestyle of trucking. And that's how to schedule your time management and how you can, I like to call it like micro hack. So how can you figure out how can you make a meal, clean it up, and in your 30-minute break. So like we cook in the truck. So have spent many holidays on the road. So cooking a full Christmas dinner, Thanksgiving meal, celebrate our birthdays, anniversaries. I've done like candlelight steak dinner for my husband. Like I pulled the curtains and he was driving and I had it all set up and waiting to light the candles when he stopped for his 30-minute break. Um, so we it's really about helping people understand the organization, and then normalizing things. So many truck drivers, I feel like, live a life that is less than poverty level and less than quality of life that homeless people get to live. And people are gonna be like, "What? That's so far-fetched." But it's really not. Like homeless people like have more free will. That's why unfortunately some people are homeless because they want that free will of coming and going and not having to be enslaved in different environments. And so trucking is unfortunately very enslaving. And if you have to go to the bathroom, there's oftentimes not a bathroom. So we talk about that stuff. We normalize it. We're like, I'll just say, go get a pee jug. Like girls can do it too. Like we talk about that stuff. Or like, what do you do? Because if you're always waiting and you're like, well, I know there's a bathroom in 200 miles, that's not good for your body. That's not, you can't just always be waiting and holding and waiting to eat, waiting to exercise, and it just wreaks havoc on your health. And that's why you really see there's so many statistics out there now that support the evidence that truck drivers' health is just poor and continues to decline, even with the information out there.
And that's one of the things you mentioned was how I stumbled upon your channel. I was looking on YouTube, I'm like, I know truck drivers have probably made, I don't know if it was Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner, and then it was your video that popped up. Yeah, talk to me about when it comes to food, and I know that's a big thing with truck drivers, of course, stopping at a truck stop, and I know time is limited, but you've done a lot of videos on cooking in the truck and, how you can do that. Talk to me a little bit more about those.
Yeah, so most trucks nowadays really come equipped with a mini refrigerator and an inverter already in it. And so it's just a matter of finding out what appliances you can use already that your truck is equipped with the power that it has. And so having like an electric skillet, or really I love having the air fryer that we have, um, really helps make cooking faster and easier. And um, for me, it also came from a place I have food allergies. And so I can't just stop and eat anywhere because then I'm going to be really, really sick. And so it wasn't a place out of like, I want to, or let me see if I can take it the next level. It was really out of necessity that I have to. And then, we just realized that more people were wanting to do this. And we've done a couple studies and we've done some polls on financially, what is it costing? And the numbers are just astronomical. And so the average driver is spending anywhere from $250 up to $500 a week Like drivers are spending their entire mortgage on eating in truck stops, and truck stops know that, and they're gouging. And then they're not even giving quality food that they used to give. Like you can find the Subways, you can find Taco Bell, and all those things. They don't even really have many of those mom and pop restaurants that you can sit down and eat at. And it was a part of community and fellowship and like hanging out together and getting a real cooked meal. That's just not really out there hardly anymore. It's becoming less and less. It's faster is better, like move, move, move. If you're not moving, you aren't earning. Like that's the motto behind trucking. And so once we just equipped the truck, and so I did some extreme things, and I asked the boss permission. I was like, "Hey, like I'm not going to damage your truck. You're not even going to know that I do these things. Can I take off cabinet doors? Can I make it so that my bed can also go into a couch? Can I put in a table in here? And can I bring water? Like I now have warm water to do dishes." And so I started just trial and error and figuring it all out. And so being able to cook a meal, like you said, I have to be able to still have that concept of faster. And so the air fryer, you can really cook a meal pretty quickly. In about 15 minutes, I can have a meal made. So we do things like street tacos regularly. And now this past year, we tried to plan out a little like sooner, like you were saying, for that Christmas or for Thanksgiving. So I'm getting ready to do Valentine's Day. Next week, I'll do Valentine's Day. Because it takes planning ahead. How are you getting those groceries? Some drivers, I get to go home every weekend, so I restock every weekend my groceries. Some drivers only get to go every 3 months. So what does that look like? We talk about how can you get groceries delivered to your truck? Do you need to think about that? Do you need to make sure your 34-hour reset is so that you can go shopping and get what you need? So that way, guess what? Christmas is coming every day or every date on the same like year. Like it's going to be coming, like here comes Christmas. And so stop, slow down. What do you need to do? Do you need to plan 10 days ahead? So that way that stuff is on board so that you can do it. Or maybe you are going to Bob Evans, or maybe you are doing something. You don't always have to cook in the truck, but you don't have to also miss out on life. And that's kind of one of our biggest things.
It's interesting that you're, thinking of these things, of course, but you're also living them. Because of course, Valentine's Day is almost a month away. So it is interesting. Um, do you just kind of go like that as far as the ideas? Where do the ideas come from?
From real life. Yeah. Like you said, I'm living it. So all of our content is organically made. And so I just got really tired of missing out on life myself. I mean, after being in the industry for 17 years, I've honestly missed a lot of life, a lot of birthday parties, a lot of holiday celebrations, a lot of times where my family and friends are hanging out. And, I just got tired of missing things. And I was like, you know what? You don't have to. Like, you don't have to miss that stuff. And so I was like, "Game on, let's try this. Like, why can't I? Like, why can't I?" And so, yeah, that's where it comes from. It's just organically like, I want to make sure I'm staying healthy. I want to get out of trucking. So many drivers also don't really retire from trucking. They don't have a life outside of trucking, because it is a tough transition. But I want to retire young and I want to be healthy. And so I have to be intentional now so that I can have that later.
You'd mentioned, doing videos of going to the bathroom and having that available in the truck. I know you did a video on getting sick in the truck, and another one popped up that I thought was really clever. It was fighting with your partner that you drive with. I think you did that about 5 or 6 years ago. But I mean, those are things that people deal with that they probably don't think like anybody's going to do a video about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like you said, it's real things. Like, how do we deal with that stuff? Like, I mean, it's real life. And I think what people have to remember that trucking, you're working one of the most deadliest, dangerous jobs in the world. And the stress that comes with that, if you don't make your truck into a home, if you don't do these little tiny things that are simple and you don't equip it, like the industry is going to eat you up. And that's why I personally believe there's such a high turnover rate. It's not because there's a driver shortage necessarily. I think it's more of a driver retention problem because there's nobody out there, like you said, teaching lifestyle, teaching you, okay, so you got in a fight, like you're going to get in a fight. We're humans. And so there's going to be disagreements. So how do you find that boundaries of where you're respecting each other? How do you find that when you get into disagreement? What are you going to do? Because it's going to happen. You're working a really stressful job. And so it's going to be taxing on your mind, your body, everything. You're going to be sleepy. You're going to be hungry. You're going to just have a bad day. And so how do you deal with those things and be able to have a successful career? And so I would like to say, like, me and my husband are proof of that. We have over 45 years experience combined together, and we both have millions of miles safe driving. And so my entire career, I've never had any accidents or incidences. And I would like to say I'm healthy, like I'm at a good weight. I'm physically like I hook my own set of doubles by myself. So yeah, if I can do it, other people can do it.
Do you hope that your channel is a place that anyone who maybe getting into the industry, anyone in the industry, could come and kind of get like a full like. I mean, you cover a lot of topics. I'm not sure there's much that you haven't really dove
Not that
into.
I'm aware of. Yeah, I think yeah, to me, pretty much, um, there's not much that's off limits. Like I even talk about like being a female driver on the road, and like that can be very difficult. There's certain things that we endure that men just don't, and that's just a fact of life. And how do you deal with that? And how do you make it easier? And yeah, there's not many topics that I won't cover. At first, I was intimidated, I won't lie. First, I was like, oh no, I can't talk about that. Like, I can't talk about like having an emergency compost toilet in the truck and a peeing in a jug. And I was like, but then after I started talking to some other people, I realized like, man, they're struggling. Like, and I have an answer. Like, they're struggling and they don't need to be struggling. And so, yeah, yeah. And so a lot of people do come and they think, oh, okay, well, you're giving me the key points, and I can do it. And we're always big on being community. We always encourage people like, hey, if it's something you want to do, or if it's something you want to learn, like comment, like send us a message. We'll reach out. Like we're not just some famous people out here that's untouchable. Like we're real people and we just want to help.
I'm curious. You mentioned comments. What kind of comments do you get?
Um, Generally they're all like really great comments. Like um we've had people that are just like, "Oh man, thanks so much for recommending the air fryer. Like, I'm making me a good dinner tonight." And they send like a video. Like, James sent me a video on one of our followers, and he was like making homemade biscuits in his air fryer, and he was like, "I got me some biscuits going," and it was just so great. Like, so like they send messages back, or for Christmas, one of our followers that I've been mentoring, they came to send a message saying like, we're at our wits end, like we're at a breaking point. We want to like if you can't help us, we're just going to quit. And I was like, no, you don't need to quit. I'm like, let's look at your schedule. Like, when are your drive times? How are you driving? Like, what are you eating? Let's just start with there. And then after time, they realized they felt really inspired to want to pay off their house. They realized they were making all of this money and they weren't really doing anything with it other than giving it to truck stops. Like, they were eating out, they were blowing so much money on that. And for Christmas, they paid off their house. And so, yeah, like getting back that kind of feedback. I mean, every once in a while I'll get somebody saying something crazy, but most people are very encouraging. They want to be encouraged by that, and they think, it's just little tiny simple. That's why we're simple living, simple things that make a powerful impact. And so we hear people's feedback of what they're doing and how they're using that information to empower them.
That must feel good to hear that you've made a difference in somebody's life.
It does, because that's the goal that we had set out with. And so to know that we're actually accomplishing it and that we're not just doing this to do this, I think so many people get into it for the wrong reasons. But our intentions, our hearts were pure to just want to help people and to know that we are. Yeah, I would love just be able to get out in front of even more people and have the channel grow and be able to help more and more people because once one video is uploaded, it stays up there. Like you said, the one video is 5 years old and it still adds value to somebody's life. Like this is lifestyle information. It's not going out of style. I mean, I talk about the truck, I give reviews on the truck, we give driving tips, but all of this is basic information that is I don't know, like it's not going to go out of style. It's not time sensitive. It's real life stuff.
Do you have a favorite video that you've done?
Oh, a favorite. That's a good one. I have never thought about that. Um, I would say not necessarily a favorite video, but some of the videos when I do get to do them is some of them more that get to show off my driving abilities. And so hooking a set of doubles and things like that. I'm not a very big person. I'm a small frame person. And so it kind of boggles people's minds when they see me doing it. So yeah, I like when it comes to driving because I don't want people to just think that I get out here and I'm teaming with my husband. And so it must be easy and he does all this stuff for me. Like, no, we were two solo drivers that came together. Like, I was a single female that met my husband in the industry, and that's how we got married. And that I'm out here doing it. And yeah, hold my own, and I just love it. And now I get the best of both worlds. Like I get to team with him, and so it just makes it better. But I don't think I really have a super favorite video.
Is there anything else you want to add that I may have missed?
Um, I would just really want to encourage people. Like if you want to go be a driver, like be a driver. Like do what it takes. Learn. Don't be prideful. I think the best advice that I was ever given was don't let the industry eat you up. Always stay humble. Like you can very easily let your mind and the industry and everything just get down to you, and you just really say, well, this happened and that happened and this, and that's why I did this. And, or you can just really become an excellent driver and then be boastful about it and say, ah, yeah, I'm perfect. I don't have to worry about it. But as long as you're, staying true and humble about it, then you'll be able to have a long, successful career.
Well, that's all the questions I have.
Yeah. And
So,
I'd love to show you the back a little tiny
yes,
bit.
please do.
All right. Okay. Let's see. All right. So I have it set up as a couch right now. You can kind of see. So, and then over here is our water system. And so there's usually water tanks under there, and there's a table that mounts on down here and it sets up here. And then it kind of pivots so it can go in front of the couch to eat. And then behind me is our kitchen. So we have our air fryer, our skillet, and then down below is our fridge. So yeah, made it cozy. We added some extra things. I even did removable wallpaper on the walls. I just didn't
That
wanna feel
makes a
like I was in a
difference, though,
truck.
right?
Yeah, it absolutely does because it's a mindset. Nobody likes not having a home or a place to call their own. So you gotta really make an environment your own. And so that means you gotta customize it a little bit. And so I wanna encourage people, like, make it your own. I'm not saying damage a truck. Like, we haven't done any damage to this truck. But you can do a lot of stuff and make it your own. And that's what's really gonna make or break you. It's the lifestyle.